You just swapped your afternoon Snickers for a granola bar because the box said organic whole grains. I strapped a continuous glucose monitor to my arm for 2 weeks. I tested these healthy snacks against actual candy bars. Some of these health foods spiked my blood sugar higher than a Snickers and crashed harder than anything wrapped in shiny chocolate plastic. Why are you starving again an hour after your nutritious snack? Or hitting that wall at 3 p.m. despite eating clean all day? Today, I'll explain the healthy snack trap like you're 5 years old. By the end, you'll understand which snacks are lying to you and why your body might handle a candy bar better than that expensive protein ball from Whole Foods. Let's start with what actually happens inside your body when you eat something. Your blood glucose rises. That's completely normal. But the speed and height of that spike determines everything that happens next. Imagine your blood sugar like your shower temperature when someone flushes the toilet downstairs. A gentle, gradual change means you adjust smoothly. A sudden spike means your body panics, overreacts, and you're in for a bad time. A slow, steady rise means your pancreas calmly releases insulin at a measured pace. A massive spike means your pancreas dumps insulin like it's putting out a kitchen fire. Your blood sugar crashes hard 30 minutes later. Suddenly, you're digging through the pantry, looking for anything that'll stop the shakes. Here's the actual data from my continuous glucose monitor. A regular Snickers bar took my blood sugar to about 140 milligrams per deciliter in roughly 30 minutes, then came down gradually over the next hour. Predictable, manageable, exactly what you'd expect from something that's honest about being dessert. Now let's talk about that acai bowl with granola you paid $14 for. That purple bowl shot my glucose to 165 milligrams per deciliter in just 25 minutes. Then dropped me off a cliff so hard I needed a nap. I immediately started craving more food. The Snickers was actually gentler on my system than the bowl that came with smug superiority about health choices. Those Nutri-Grain bars your mom packed in your lunch were worse than a Milky Way. Not a little worse, significantly worse in both the spike and how fast it hit. That Naked Juice green machine that costs $5 and has a picture of kale on the bottle? Nearly identical glucose response to drinking a regular Coca-Cola, except the Coke costs $2 less. Here's where it gets wild with these so-called health foods. The problem isn't just sugar content alone, it's how they're processed. These foods remove all the fiber that would slow absorption and add fruit concentrates, which is just sugar with better PR. They pulverize everything into a form your body absorbs faster than you can say blood sugar roller coaster. That acai bowl has fruit blended into liquid, which your stomach doesn't have to break down. It hits your bloodstream instantly. The granola on top is basically oats held together with honey or maple syrup. More sugar with good branding. There's no fiber left to slow anything down, because blending destroys the structure that made the fruit healthy. Here's what actually works when you test it properly. I tested a handful of raw almonds with an actual whole apple. Not blended, not juiced, just an apple you have to chew. My glucose barely moved above 110 milligrams per deciliter, rose slowly over 45 minutes, and came down gently without any crash. No hunger 30 minutes later, and no emergency pantry raid. The difference is clear and measurable. Fiber still intact, fat from the nuts slowing digestion, and food that still looks like food. Now check this out, because this is where the industry really gets you. Those protein balls at the checkout counter of every health food store? I tested one that was organic, vegan, gluten-free, and had more certifications than a medical degree. It spiked me to 155 milligrams per deciliter because it was basically dates and honey rolled together with almond butter. Dates are pure sugar, and honey is pure sugar. You took sugar, mixed it with different sugar, rolled it in nuts, and charged me $3 per ball. My body processed it exactly like candy because it is candy, just candy that makes you feel morally superior. This matters to you because you're making decisions based on packaging lies every single day. You're choosing the granola bar over the cookie because one seems healthier. You're buying the smoothie instead of the milkshake because one has antioxidants on the menu. Meanwhile, your body experiences the exact same metabolic chaos either way. Except now you're spending more money and feeling confused about why you're still hungry and tired. Here's what you need to understand about the crashes. When your blood sugar spikes hard and fast, your body doesn't just bring it back down, it overshoots. You end up with lower blood sugar than when you started. This triggers intense hunger and cravings for more quick-absorbing food. You eat the healthy bar at 2 p.m., spike and crash by 3 p.m., then you're hunting for another snack by 3:30 p.m. Your body thinks it's starving, even though you just ate. The Snickers, weirdly enough, doesn't create the same desperate cycle. It's a more moderate spike with fat and protein from nuts that slow things down slightly. Those Cliff Bars marketed to athletes are fine if you're actually climbing. If you're actually hiking up a mountain for 3 hours, great. You need fast fuel, and you're burning it immediately. If you're eating one at your desk between Zoom calls, you just mainlined 45 grams of carbs into a body that's sitting still. Your pancreas is about to have opinions about that decision. Here's what separates real food from processed health food. Real food has components that work together to slow absorption. An orange has fiber surrounding every juice-filled cell, forcing your digestive system to work for access to the sugar. Orange juice removes all that structure, leaving you with liquid sugar your body absorbs in minutes. That's why whole fruit barely spikes your glucose, while fruit juice sends it soaring. The same apple that kept me stable at 110 milligrams per deciliter becomes a glucose bomb when you blend it into a smoothie. You didn't add sugar, you just destroyed the delivery mechanism that made it healthy. The fat content matters more than you think about blood sugar control. I tested a plain rice cake against a rice cake with 2 tablespoons of almond butter. The plain rice cake spiked me to 145 milligrams per deciliter in 20 minutes because it's pure starch with 0 fat or protein. The same rice cake with almond butter peaked at 115 milligrams to deciliter over 40 minutes and kept me full for 3 hours. The fat slows stomach emptying, which means glucose enters your bloodstream gradually instead of all at once. This is why full-fat Greek yogurt with berries works better than low-fat yogurt with granola. Protein is your best friend for stable blood sugar, but it has to be real protein. Those protein bars with 20 grams of protein sound impressive, until you read the label and see 25 grams of sugar. You're basically eating a candy bar that happens to contain some protein isolate. I tested one against a hard-boiled egg with an apple. The protein bar spiked me to 150 milligrams per deciliter within 30 minutes. The egg and apple combination barely reached 105 milligrams per deciliter and kept me satisfied twice as long. Real protein from whole foods comes packaged with fats and nutrients that work together, not isolated powder mixed with syrup. The takeaway here isn't that you should start eating candy bars for health. The takeaway is that if your healthy snack comes in a wrapper and has more than 5 ingredients, check it like you would check candy. Read the sugar content first. Look at the fiber to see if there's any. Ask yourself if this thing exists in nature or required a factory to achieve its current form. Better yet, just eat actual food that still looks like food. An apple with peanut butter beats any bar on the shelf. A handful of nuts with a piece of cheese barely moves your glucose and keeps you full for hours. Carrots with hummus, berries with Greek yogurt, and hard-boiled eggs with anything work consistently. These combinations are boring and don't have inspiring quotes on the packaging, but they work because they're built the way your body expects food to arrive. That work is the whole point, because slow is good when it comes to glucose. Slow means steady energy, no crashes, and no desperate 4 p.m. vending machine runs. To recap, blood sugar spikes aren't just about diabetes. They're why you're always hungry, tired, and looking for your next snack. That acai bowl spiked my glucose higher than a Snickers and crashed harder. Nutri-Grain bars beat a Milky Way in the worst possible way. Naked juice is basically expensive soda with better branding. The problem is, processed health foods strip out fiber, add fruit concentrate sugar, and blend everything into rapid-absorbing paste. Meanwhile, an apple with nuts barely touches 110 milligrams per deciliter and actually keeps you satisfied. Whole foods with intact fiber, natural fats, and real protein create gentle glucose curves that sustain you for hours. So here's my question for you. What's the most expensive health food you've bought that turned out to be glorified candy?